Good evening and welcome to Sunset News this Monday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, and sports. I am Glenn Orashipura, joined by Oneuptwo.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to come back.
Now getting into the news tonight, a mental health patient at the Swakopmund State Hospital set the hospital on fire, according to Inspector Ileni Shapumba, spokesperson for Erongo Police. The incident unfolded when the patient, allegedly desiring to leave, encountered resistance from on-duty nurses. Upon returning to his room, he set the facility on fire. The timely response from the Swakopmund Fire Brigade effectively controlled the fire, limiting the damage to the ward where it started. There were no reported casualties from the incident, Shapumba stated. Sean Naude, a member of the Namibian Marshal Rangers, said the nursing staff swiftly seized fire hoses and extinguishers, combating the flames while awaiting the fire department's arrival. The room was filled with smoke and they tried to let it out by opening windows, but lots of windows were stuck and they had to break them. This caused some injuries. Naude revealed that he encountered a fight with the person who started the fire. After they put out the fire, the attacker pulled out scissors and tried to hurt Naude. Well, it's a great thing that, they were not harmed. And the Marshal Ranger, he came out and he's still fine. And I also want to commend, the fire department that reacted swiftly, and the nurses as well that knew what to do. Would you say that we should have measures in place in every building and to know what happens when there's a fire?
I think the response by the nursing department or by the nurses show that they at least had some exposure to fire training, and it's a positive. It will certainly be a good thing if more of these exercises are rolled out to more individuals that have to deal with incidences such as this.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Now, in our next story, the period for public review of the Environmental Investment Assessment Report for the preliminary test mining work based on in situ leach in the Maheke region has been extended. According to the Stamford Aquifer Uranium Mining Association, commenting on the WINGS project by the public will expire on the 23rd of February. It was extended from the original deadline of the 24th of January. After due processes seems not to have been followed. The company is exploring the Stamford Basin in Namibia to discover new sandstone uranium deposits potentially suitable for in situ leaching-based mining method. Now, what are your thoughts on this? I know there's some people that have, reservations around this type of mining. Would you say it's safe for the environment, or?
The problem with this specific development is that this is fresh water, where it's being conducted in other jurisdictions such as Kazakhstan and Russia. Believe that they were not dealing with drinkable water, and hence are able to conduct in situ leach mining. And the aquifer supplies a lot of people with water, and once this process starts or gets underway, we won't be able to see accurately or in time the type of damage that is being done to the water body. It's so there has to be there has to be a lot of EIAs. The scientific process has to prove that it can be done safely. Only then can we allow such thing to happen.
Would you say that we have proper EIAs in place? Because I know there's one in Maheke and I think one down south. I'm not so sure. I stand to be corrected. Would you say that there are proper, EIAs conducted to make sure that this is safe in the long haul, as you mentioned?
Yeah, no, for sure. One good thing about Namibia is constitutionally, even the protection of the environment is included, and there are enough checks and balances in place to ensure that that there's nothing untoward in terms of any project that is being done that will have a negative consequence on the environment.
Well, I do hope that there is no negative consequences on the environment in the future. Now, in our next story, the applications for leave to appeal by the two American murderers who were given harsh sentences in October last year for the murder of Andre Hackmeyer in 2011 were postponed until March in the High Court in Windhoek on Monday. Marcus Thomas and Kevin Townsend want to appeal against their sentencing and conviction in the High Court, but both must first be granted an application for leave at the High Court. Thomas and Townsend appeared in court in November for their applications, but the case was postponed until Monday because Thomas's legal representative Solomon Kanyemba withdrew himself from the case. The proceedings could not continue either because Thomas' new private attorney was not present. Now, the case with these two Americans, I feel like it just keeps on dragging. I know that they were sentenced last year, but every time we hear news from them is either a lawyer has withdrawn or they are firing a lawyer and so forth. There's just too many delays. I mean, I know the delays initially with their original case took some time, you know, and there was a complaint that yes, we are in a Namibian jail and you know, we're not getting judgment. But most of the delays were partly or most in part due to them because they were changing lawyers and there was just so many hiccups around it. And now again, we're hearing that there's also some issues with the lawyers. So I wonder, would we get better from these two gentlemen?
The fact, like you're mentioning, we saw last year with the sentencing that justice had finally been delivered, and now it seems to be this case where we have to deal with them again, and it just gives the impression that what we saw during trial is what we're going to see again with this appeal case. Yes. And it's not something that I'm personally looking forward to, and I think it's a waste of time of the justice system. But at the end of the day, it is within their rights to appeal their sentence.
Would you know what are the measures and, you know, conditions for someone, you know, to be granted an appeal?
The one thing that comes out here is that they probably feel that the sentence given has been too harsh and it's too lengthy, and you know that automatically qualifies them to seek for an appeal. But we should also bear in mind all of the delaying tactics that have always been in place as this thing unfolds further.
Yeah. In our next story, Touting Festus Business Development Partner of Namibian Ports Authority, NAMPORT, believes the discovery of substantial oil and gas reserves is ushering in a new era of economic growth, not only for Namibians, but for the Port Authority. This presents Namibia historically dependent on mining and agriculture with a golden opportunity to diversify its economy. According to Festus, the ongoing offshore exploration efforts have attracted major international energy companies, potentially positioning Namibia as a net exporter of hydrocarbons and enhancing energy security. The impact on the Namibian Ports Authority, and especially on key ports like Walvis Bay and Lüderitz, is substantial. The oil and gas sector demands efficient transport and logistical support, and NAMPORT is a vital piece of that puzzle. The increase in shipping activity directly translates into more revenue opportunities through service like vessel handling, berthing fees, and cargo operations. This is definitely good news for Namibia. I know that we have had some significant oil discoveries in the past couple of years, and especially this year, I think we've had two significant oil discoveries. So this is good, but I'm not so sure if I should necessarily say this is all the way good, because we don't know what this might mean for the country.
Well, the oil and gas development certainly good. It's bringing a lot of prospecting into Namibia, and it will create an additional revenue stream for government. And then on the other side, the fact that the port infrastructure will be used, Namibia has always set itself up to be a logistics hub within the Southern African region, and it has the additional benefit of bringing traffic to the ports, excuse me, and also increased revenue for the Ports Authority NAMPORT.
But I'm still not to play devil's advocate here, but you know, there's conservancies and stuff like that are worried that this is going to affect the environment not so well. Would we say
it remains to be seen?
It remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen. And again, as I said earlier, Namibia has some of the best environmental laws in practice, and it can only go somewhere in ensuring that there's enough mitigation strategies in place to ensure that the oil and gas industry will not negatively affect Namibia's coastal waters.
Yeah. In economic news, we look at interest rates that will remain unchanged for now. But before we get into that, we have to just say a quick goodbye to Hone. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts on these stories.
It's always a pleasure.
All right, we'll be right back after the break.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kahana.
Wij zijn CVI is er aan neertrekken. Hij bal lijkt mij gewoon gepakt. Ja, hij is gewoon gepakt. En dan zie
But just enough next.
Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love that. I love that. So then
Kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
Getting into our economic news, South Africa's Monetary Policy Committee kept interest rates on hold at 8.25% in its first meeting of the year, having left the benchmark rate unchanged at a 14-year high for the past 9 months. To maintain the currency peg between the Namibian dollar and the rand, the Bank of Namibia bond traditionally takes its monetary policy cue from the SARB. The repo rate in Namibia currently stands at 7.75%. The bond's first monetary policy meeting for the year is on the 14th of February. PSG Namibia only anticipates the bond to cut its repo rate by 50 basis points to 7.25% in the second half of this year. According to PSG's latest economic outlook, the Bank of Namibia is tolerating a historically wide gap between the Namibian and South African repo rates due to concerns over the negative impact of fast rising interest rates on consumers. IJG Securities expects the bond to maintain elevated rates in the first 6 months of this year, also expecting a monetary policy shift in the last half of 2024. Let's get into our financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.79, against the euro at 20.33, against the US dollar at 18.76. $2 gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold and copper went up while platinum and Brent crude oil went down. Brent crude oil trading at 1.49%, going for $82.88 per barrel. In international news, we take a look at the 3 West African states leaving the Economic Community of West African States. To stay tuned for this story.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. events@nhmh.com.na.
Getting into our international news, 3 West African states led by their militaries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, say they are immediately leaving the economic community of West African states. Let's take a look.
3 West African states led by their militaries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, say they're immediately leaving the economic community of West African states, serving a blow on Sunday to a regional bloc that's been urging them to return to democratic rule. The decision to quit the group, known as ECOWAS, was announced in Niger on TV by its military spokesman.
After 49 years, the valiant people of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger regretfully and with great disappointment observe that the organization has drifted from the ideals of its founding fathers and the spirit of Pan-Africanism. They argue that ECOWAS, under foreign influence, betrayed its founding principles and became a threat to its member states and their populations, which it was supposed to ensure the well-being of.
It was a joint statement also broadcast in Mali and Burkina Faso. ECOWAS said on Sunday it had not yet been formally notified about the withdrawal and declined further comment. The bloc has previously said it does not recognize the junta-led governments of the 3 countries and would not tolerate coups. The exiting states are all ruled by military leaders who have seized power since 2020. Late last year, they formed their own union called the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES from its French name. They've also cut military and other ties with former colonial master France and turned to Russia for security support. The 3 neighbors have argued they want to restore security before organizing elections as they struggle to contain insurgencies linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. In Sunday's statement, the military leaders criticized ECOWAS for failing to help their countries, quote, in their existential fight against terrorism and insecurity, and accused it of being influenced by external powers. It's unclear for now how the exit will impact the 15-member regional bloc where goods and citizens move freely, but the move could further weaken ECOWAS, which has struggled to contain a democratic retreat in the region of West Africa.
That brings us to the end of our international news. After the break, we'll be taking a look at our weather predictions.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Let's take a look at our weather predictions for tomorrow. Sunny and warm in the Karas region, elsewhere partly cloudy and hot with a few thunder showers, but isolated to scattered thunder showers in Erongo, Kunene, Oshodonjupa, Omaheke and Khomas regions. Partly cloudy and warm to hot with showers over the central and northern coast. The wind is going to be moderate to fresh northeasterly. The tides at Walvis Bay are at as follows: a high tide at 6:03 a.m., a low tide at 11:59 p.m. and a high tide at 6:12 p.m. And the sunrise in Windhoek is at 6:31 a.m. and sunset at 7:40 p.m. After the break, we take a look at the sport news with Ari Hogad.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first. It's FA Cup round 5 action that will follow on the 28th of February. Still a few round 4 games that needs to be played in the FA Cup, and already confirmed for the 28th of February is some of the Premiership teams playing against each other. Firstly, it is Luton Town that's got a tough assignment. They will play the defending champions, that is Manchester City, at home, and that's on the 28th of February. And then Bournemouth, they will play against Leicester City, and Wolverhampton versus Brighton. Some of the other games confirmed for the 5th round of the FA Cup. A few games to be played still. It is Liverpool that's already through to the 5th round. They await the winners of Watford playing against Southampton. So that game will be played on the 6th of February. That will be a home game for Liverpool in the 5th round. Also, Chelsea and Aston Villa, two big clubs in the Premier League that play on the 7th of February. That is still a round 4 game, and they will have a home game, whoever wins, against Leeds or Plymouth, and they will play on the 6th of February. So lots of action in the FA Cup still to come. Round 5 games scheduled for the 28th of February. And continuing on to cricket news, and a great performance by the South African women's team, the South African women's Proteas team. They beat Australia in the second T20 game that was played in Australia, and it's the first time ever that South Africa the women's team beat Australia in white ball cricket in 23 previous games over a few seasons. And it was the first T20 game that Australia won. The second one won by South Africa by 6 wickets. It was Australia that batted first, 142 for the loss of 6 wickets in their allotted 20 overs. Then South Africa scoring 144 for the loss of 4 wickets. And the big run scorers for South Africa, Laura Wolfhard, the captain, she scored 58 unbeaten runs from 53 deliveries. And then also opening batsman Tasman Brits, a great performance, 41 runs off just 28 deliveries. She helped the South African team to get off to a good start. The third and final T20 game in that series will be played on Tuesday, and that will be played in Hobart. Staying with cricket, 2 exciting test match series that continue. The first one is England that play against India. They play the series in India. It was England that dramatically won the first test that was played, the first out of 5 tests, and it is the second test that will be played in Visakhapatnam, and that will start on Friday. And then also it is Australia that hosts the West Indies. They've played 2 test matches. It was West Indies that won dramatically also the second test by 8 runs, and now they play a one-day series. Firstly, it will be 50 overs, one-day games, 3 of them. The first one will also be played on Friday. And to conclude today's international sports news, it is American football news, or it is gridiron as they call it. The Super Bowl final will be played on the 11th of February in Las Vegas, and it is a Super Bowl 58. It will be a repeat of the 2023 final. It will again be the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending champion, and they will play against the San Francisco 49ers, and that will be played in Las Vegas on the 11th of February. That's our international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. But before we close off, get ready for the glitz and glamour as Network Television presents the first ever NTV Awards ceremony. NTV Awards nominations are here, and you can cast your vote now for your favorite talk show by WhatsApping #NTV Awards 2024 to 0857856231 and follow the instructions and vote for the best talk show, which in this case is Sunset News. Voting closes on the 1st of February 2024. From me, Glenda Rashipura, until next time.